What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Today, I'm going to be showing off an updated version of Pablo Mezas' top 8 Trevenant and Dusknoir list from the Dallas Regional Championships. This is a really cool, unique, new archetype to come out of the Dallas Regional Championships. Big props to Pablo, aka Tablemon. If you haven't checked out his YouTube and Twitch channels, make sure to do so for the stellar top 8 finish. The goal of the deck is to attack with Trevenant and Dusknoir using Night Watch, dealing 150 damage turn after turn to limit your opponent's hand size and make it so that they don't really have any playable options from their hand. In order to accelerate the energy, we have Milotic, whose ability Energy Grace allows you to knock out the Milotic and then attach 3 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX. Now, that is not a problem, since obviously Trevenant and Dusknoir is a tag team Pokemon GX, so fair game for Milotic's Energy Grace. And as we have seen lately in the Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon that knock themselves out or manipulate the prize count are very strong. The Milotic is no exception, being able to force your opponent to take a prize and then allowing you to use cards like Ace Trainer to limit their hand size to just 3 cards. And then, of course, when you limit their hand to 3 cards, you're going to be taking 2 of those cards away with Night Watch, leaving them with just a 1-card hand. Very powerful. Part of what makes this deck so good is that you can use Gengar and Mimikyu's Horror House GX on the first turn of the game, going second. You're going to choose to go second with this deck every single game because you want the turn 1 Horror House. And this deck gets even better heading into the Collinsville Regional Championships because of the new turn 1 rule with Sword and Shield. That wasn't in effect for the Dallas Regional Championships, and this deck was still good. Now, your opponents will not be able to play their own supporter on the first turn of the game going first. You get to come swooping in with a Horror House GX, making it so that your opponent can play no cards from their hand, meaning that they effectively will pass turn to you, and then you get to swing in with Trevenant and Dusknoir on the second turn of the game when you can evolve your Milotics up, use Energy Grace, limit them to a 3-card hand, and then wipe the rest of the cards away from their hand with Night Watch. Now, this deck gets a couple very notable upgrades with Sword and Shield. First of all, we have Quick Ball, which is very good. Pablo was playing a whole suit of Pokemon Communication previously. We still got one in the deck, which is pretty good. But Quick Ball, very strong. Not only gets your Shaymin-EXs to help you draw through the deck, Dedenne-GX, but also your Trevenant and Dusknoirs and your Feebas to help set up. We've got the 4 Ultra Balls, 3 Trainers Mails, definitely a turbo engine. We're trying to burn through the deck, get as many cards into play as possible on our first couple turns so we can completely take control of the match with Horror House GX and Trevenant and Dusknoir. And then another huge boost for this deck is the inclusion of Marnie. Previously, you would Ace Trainer and then eventually you would take the lead and then not be able to Ace Trainer anymore. Now you can always have the option to Marnie your opponent's hand to 4 and then take 2 cards away, limiting them to a 2-card hand at any point in the match, even if you're ahead on prizes. And then, of course, there is the option to end. Once your opponent just has a couple of prize cards remaining, you can end and then completely wipe their hand away. With the addition of Muk in the deck, it makes it very difficult for the opponent to respond with a low hand size. A lot of times, the way that a player will play out of a low hand is refilling their hand with Shaymin-EX or even the Oranguru that knows Instruct. Alolan Muk completely negates those strategies and makes this a very, very intimidating deck to play against in expanded format. Now, I still haven't quite gotten used to selecting to go second yet in expanded format. It seems like almost every deck is choosing to go second in expanded these days. I've made the argument that choosing to go first in standard format is usually correct. In standard format, the decks just are not quite as explosive. In expanded, it's a different beast entirely. The difference between being able to attack and play supporter and not being able to attack and not playing a supporter is like night and day. You could completely set your entire deck up on one turn. Some decks have the power with Shaymin-EX to very easily get to the bottom of their decks on the first turn of the game. And then with Skyfield in the equation as well, which this deck does play, it means that you can play as many Shaymin-EX during your turn as you want, filling your hand to 6 every time with Ultra Ball and Quick Ball in the same format. Digging through your deck has never been easier. The Turbo engine is getting a complete rehaul with Quick Ball's introduction to the format, since we now have Quick Ball, Ultra Ball, and Trainers Mail, meaning that getting those Shaymins to your hand to continue trying to dig to find the cards that you want is now easier than it ever has been. So it looks like my opponent is choosing to go second here. That is unfortunate because I want to go second, but that is fine. My opening hand is not good, so we're going to have to hope that my opponent does not take advantage of that. And I think that this new turn 1 rule in expanded format is very tough to deal with because you're going to open hands that look like this and don't have a ton of playable options out of them. Fortunately, we do have an Ultra Ball, so we're at least not going to be losing the game, but that is fine. I think that we're just going to go in with the Battle Compressor, send a couple of supporters out of the way, and then a couple of energies and a supporter. This hand has got all of my Float Stones in it, so I don't necessarily want to do that. I will just grab an N, and we're going to end up doing that on the second turn of the game, and then we'll can Ultra Ball here, grab these, and I just want to get myself a Feebas, probably. Well, we could Shaymin, we could go for it. Yeah, we'll go here. And we've got the Float Stone for the Gengar, Shaymin. We could draw some cards. Hopefully finding a Feebas. We actually got everything that we need. This is literally, the gang is all here. This is the perfect setup for us. And we can pretty comfortably just pass turn. I don't necessarily think that I need to retreat. My opponent is going to try to, what appears to be attack with Rotom on the first turn of the game. So they're going to discard a whole bunch of tools and things like that and then try to attack for free. Once I set up Muk, that is going to be a checkmate scenario for me, I believe, unless they have a way to take care of it. So definitely a great start here. I think that even though the Rotom deck seems appealing and expanded, it is probably more fun than anything else. Now, we don't have the Ultra Ball for the Milotic, so we can't Ace Trainer yet. But let's see if my opponent's deck can pop off. Are they going to be able to Battle Compressor enough tools away to be able to Roto Motor and attack for free? I think that as far as Battle Compressor decks go, I really like Night March. I think Night March is a lot of fun and very easily gets all of its Night Marchers into the discard pile. But let's see what we could do. We've got the Computer Search as well, which just buys us even more time. So, to be honest, we don't really need to Horror House GX. I can just go straight in with the Trevenant and Dusknoir, which just seems insane. So, let's do that. We're going to discard more energy. We need one more energy in the bin. And then we also need, we've got the Ace Trainer already in hand, Feebas already in hand. Everything should be good to go. I don't think there's too much else that we need here. I could just ship the other Battle Compressors, and then I can comp search for a Milotic, and we are chilling. So let's do that. Computer Search, get the Milotic, and we can completely eliminate my opponent's hand here by using Trevenant and Dusknoir. So I love that. We've got just a bonus energy that we don't necessarily need. And we can Quick Ball for the Ace Trainer. I am giving them a card there, but they would take a prize here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to do this first, Energy Grace, give them a prize, and then as soon as they do, we're going to Ace Trainer them back down to 3, and hopefully find Muk to set up so that they cannot attack at all. But this is the general gist of the deck, that you're just getting the turn 2 Trevenant Dusknoir, limiting your opponent's hand to low. We've got the Ultra Ball for the Muk too, so the whole combo is here and just going to be very difficult, I imagine, for my opponent to deal with. So let's grab, just thinning the deck a little bit more. I don't suspect that I will need anything else other than what I have here available to me. So just going to thin those out of the deck too, get myself the Muk and then attach the Float Stone to Alolan Grimer and set up, get a little bit of a bigger hand before I set up the Power of Alchemy lock. I've got Guzma, Pokemon Communication in hand. I think I'm just going to thin this out a little bit more and then set up again, because I just want cards like, you know, Mallow Lana or something like that, Draw Supporter, Versus Seeker, so on and so forth. Ace Trainer is cool too. I can Field Blower the tool attached to my opponent so I don't take any damage on my Trevenant and Dusknoir. And happy with my position, we're just going to evolve into Alolan Muk and remove most of my opponent's hand with Night Watch. So this is the situation. This is what we're trying to do. Every game we see we got a Trainer's Mail and a Cynthia, and they're just going to give me the well played. We got the Muk out, we got the Trevenant and Dusknoir, we're eliminating their hand, and they don't have a lot of options. It's only the second turn of the game, and they're going to scoop it up. So this deck seems insane, but this deck is completely busted. As you can see, it is titled Broken Deck. I was playing against this deck on stream today, actually. If you haven't checked out the Twitch stream, make sure to do so. Twitch.tv/TrickyJim. I stream 4 to 5 hours of Pokemon trading card game content there every single day. So if you like the YouTube channel, you'll love the Twitch stream. Make sure to give the channel a follow over there and check out the schedule to see when I go live. Now, I was playing against this deck on Twitch today, and I was playing Night March, and I just could not believe that they were able to eliminate my hand so easily. And early on, you can see my opponent chose to go second there. And that's just expanded format right now. People are choosing to go second, you know, time and time again. It's just a big deal right now, and that's okay. As you can see, you know, we can still hold our own going second. It's just better if we go second for sure. We do have the opportunity with the turbo engine to get our Feebas's into play, and usually if you go first, it looks like we're just going to be skipping the Horror House GX and just moving straight into Trevenant and Dusknoir. However, it's not always the case, so we will certainly see. We've got an Ultra Ball there. I'm pretty confident in just being able to Ultra Ball away N and the Field Blower, and we can get ourselves a Feebas. Already got the Shaymin in hand. Go here, energy onto the Gengar Mimikyu Skyfield, Trevenant and Dusknoir, and set up for 6 big ones. And this deck is very explosive. There's a lot of Necrozma decks here on the ladder. We do pretty well against those. We have the ability to completely remove their hand. A lot of decks in format need to play out of the hand, and that's just something that this deck really preys on, is if you are, you know, requiring to have, you know, an energy every turn to attach. And Ultra Necrozma, you know, gets knocked out every turn, needs an energy to Luster Downfall. If you don't have a hand to play from, it can be really tough to continue drawing. So we've got the energy, got the Float Stone, we've got that. We'll put this guy down. And then, to be honest, no supporters turn 1. I don't really need to go any further, so I'm pretty comfortable just passing here with both a Ditto and a Feebas down. It means that I've got 2 options to be able to evolve into Milotic next turn if the worst case scenario happens and my opponent were to gust up one of these and knock it out. We're totally fine in that regard. Here it looks like we've got an Arceus Dagopalkia version of Ultra Necrozma, and I've seen a lot of people trying to get Arceus Dagopalkia to work and expand it, myself included. I was trying it with Zacian V, and I just wasn't feeling it as much in expanded. The turns matter much more in expanded format, where you the turns matter much more. Every turn that you give up in expanded format is a big deal. Unlike in standard format, where it's like if you give up the first 2 turns, it's not that big of a deal. But in expanded format, giving up 1 turn to using Ultra Creation GX can definitely be punished, as every deck is pretty much capable of dealing this much damage, or completely, you know, taking control of the board state in some other kind of broken way. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to Quick Ball first, get rid of Float Stone, and then we are going to grab ourselves just a Pokemon. It doesn't really matter because I do not have a Stadium out, so we can grab a Grimer just in case. I don't actually want to set up Muk now that I'm looking at it, but it's all good. We've got the Skyfield, which is actually very good. and probably what we want. So I think here I'll actually grab the Ultra Ball. And we are just going to get ourselves the Milotic. And then I'm going to end. And I will probably Horror House GX this turn, because I don't actually need to do anything. Since my opponent doesn't even have any energy in play, they just can't do anything. So it doesn't matter. I could Night Watch this turn. I would rather not. I would rather wait to Night Watch for when I can Ace Trainer them. So I will just wait to Night Watch. We're going to get these 3 energy into the bin. And then next turn, go in with our Trevenant and Dusknoir GX. So we've got the easy call. Horror House GX. They will pass. Next turn, we're going to go swinging into this Arceus Stalgopalkia with our Trevenant and Dusknoir. Night Watch for 150. Ace Trainer them. Limit them to 3-card hand, 1-card hand. We've already got the Ace Trainer right there. So easy pick. Energy Grace, 3 energy onto the Trevenant and Dusknoir. We can just see how consistently busted this deck is. It's a broken deck, quite literally. And I haven't even gotten to go second yet. This deck gets the turn 1 Horror House going second every single game, which is insane, but my opponents keep choosing to go second, so I haven't had that opportunity, unfortunately. And then we can Ace Trainer. I can bump their Stadium so that they have a harder time dealing damage. That's cool. We'll do that. So I've got a second energy I can put onto my Gengar and Mimikyu. And to be honest, I could just evolve the Ditto while I have it. I don't necessarily want to get Muck into play. So let's Comp Search, and we can just get 1 more card out of the deck. I think we're just going to get a second one of these just to have it. And say, hey, you know, if we want it, we want it. We'll do it. And then we're going to Ace Trainer. And my opponent's going to have a very small hand. And this way, if I want to, after the first Trevenant and Dusknoir goes down, if it goes down, I have the option to power up a second one and try to really route the rest of the game with that. We're going to get rid of the second Gengar Mimikyu. The other Battle Compressor is usually good picks as well, since at a certain point we don't actually need more. The Mallow Lana would be a good grab, and there's 3 Versus Seekers left in the deck, so I think that I do want to put that Mallow and Lana into the bin just in case I end up finding it off of Trainers Mail. And we can actually just completely flex our deck out at this point. We do have a Versus Seeker there. That's great. And there's really no harm, no foul in doing all of this crazy stuff, getting a very big hand, playing all of these Pokemon out, because I am just taking control of this game. And I could bench more Pokemon if my opponent plays, you know, their Silent Lab, then we'd be able to bump some Shaymin, stuff like that. But it's just, it's fine where we're at. So we're going to Night Watch, and get rid of their N and their Choice Band. And if they don't have a supporter here, then we are just swinging in 150 damage again. They got Trainer's Mail and do find themselves a Cynthia, but we still very much impede their ability to play the game because they have to hit a lot off that Cynthia. So usually when you play a draw supporter, you have a decent hand, then you play a draw supporter and you get to see a new hand. This, you know, case, they have no hand, and then they get to play the draw supporter to see a hand. So they only get to see 1 hand that turn, and as we see, they completely whiffed what they needed. So I can Ace Trainer them back. I could Mallow and Lana. I feel like Ace Trainering them back feels pretty good, though I do know that this hand is not good. It doesn't really have the cards that they need in it. So I'm not really afraid of just using Night Watch again, saving my Versus Seekers for another play. I could Mallow and Lana just to heal this thing, and I think that that is probably okay, to be honest. So let's just do that. I'll limit my opponent's hand to 2. We're going to Mallow and Lana and just get that nasty poison damage off there because I don't really like it, and completely heal the Trevenant and Dusknoir. Take our prizes, and I'm also going to counter that Stadium just so that we can. And we're going to Shaymin, draw a few more cards. Make sure that I don't draw any more, though, because I am very close to decking out. And we'll go there, shuffle cards back into my opponent's deck, Teammates and Sycamore. Those are good ones to grab for sure, and take ourselves 3 prizes. Now, I do need to make sure that I take my final 3 prizes without decking out. 5 cards left in deck, though. Should be fine, especially now that we found our Marnie. We can send this whole hand to the bottom of the deck, and we've thinned our deck to the point where It is just good cards remaining. And they went ahead and scooped it up too. Broken deck. We're going to roll it one more time and see if maybe I get to go second this game. I still really have to focus on choosing to go second if I win the flip. I'm just very much not used to it. But Expanded's a different beast, different set of metagame rules that we're playing by here. Choosing to go second is a big deal in Expanded format, especially for a deck like this that can capitalize on your opponent struggling to set up and kind of force them to struggle to set up with attacks like Horror House GX. So I'm excited here to see if we can get the turn 1 Horror House going second. I've already got the Float Stone. I've got the Skyfield as well. A couple Versus Seekers in the hand, not what we want, but we do have 4 Battle Compressors. So we find a Battle Compressor off the Trainer's Mail, that's live. If we find ourselves, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball off of the Trainer's Mail, those are live as well. It looks like we are playing against Mewtwo and Mew, potentially Tag Team GX, or maybe just a straight Malamar, not Malam. What is the Giratina? It goes in the Mewtwo deck. So just seeing all these Psychic Energies hit the bin has got me a little bit confused as to what we're playing against here in Expanded, but maybe it's a new deck, which could be fun to see. Usually in Expanded, when you see Giratina, that signifies that we're probably going to be playing against, and it looks like we are playing a mirror match. Oh, baby. Is this a mirror match? Or are we going to get some, Trevenant and Dusknoir versus Trevenant and Dusknoir? I was expecting, yes, this is a mirror match. So this should be fascinating to see which one of these Trevenant and Dusknoir. I was not expecting Giratina. That's actually a very interesting inclusion in the Trevenant and Dusknoir build. It makes sense since we are playing so many Battle Compressors. You can use that Distortion Door ability if you discard the Giratina. I've never played this mirror match before, so it should be about as simple as if I can Horror House GX, as I take control of the match and just kind of shut everything down from my opponent's side. But it looks like they are going to try to really turbo through their deck and find as many pieces of their own board state that they need, setting up Feebas and so on and so forth. The Trevenant and Dusknoir there, of course. So let's see what we can get. I got an end, so that's very good. And we'll Trainer's Mail. The Ultra Ball is a great grab there because it can just get me the Gengar and Mimikyu. Can get rid of these guys. Get myself Gengar and Mimikyu, Rainbow Edition. And we're going to let it fly with an N here. Putting me and my opponent both to 6 cards. Looking for a Psychic Energy for Horror House GX. Now we've got a Quick Ball and a Trainer's Mail. We see the Quick Ball is just so insanely good in this deck, allowing me to continue digging. I also can throw that Milotic back into the deck, which is very good. First, I'm going to Trainer's Mail, see if there's anything else worth grabbing here. Can grab the Guzma, and then I'm going to Pokemon Communication, the Milotic into the deck, get myself, honestly, probably Grimer. And then we'll throw that down, Float Stone on the Grimer. Quick Ball away the Guzma. And go for a Shaymin. Still got a lot of dig left in this deck. We just need to find ourselves a Psychic Energy, and we lock it up for the next turn. We've got the Psychic Energy and the Battle Compressor. I can send my other Psychic Energy safely to the bin now, since I found my one Psychic that I need for Horror House GX. Weakness policy shouldn't really matter, I don't believe, but we can just throw that anywhere. Not a big deal. Probably just on the Feebas. And then we can Gengar Mimikyu Shaymin for more setup. Just doesn't really matter. They can't play any cards, so I can just keep grinding. That's fine. We're going to Shaymin set up for 5. See more cards. We're looking for a Milotic for next turn. We've got the Milotic, got the Battle Compressor, got the Muk. This is perfect hand. So let's just Battle Compressor, make sure that we kind of have everything just so, exactly the way we want. So we can get rid of a Battle Compressor. That's usually fine. I don't really need any of the other energy or anything like that because I'm only going to be using the Energy Grace once. So I don't have a way to limit my opponent's hand, though, so I do really hope for a top deck to help us get that, but it's fine. We'll probably just send these, and then done. And then we've got the Horror House GX. Now, what's unfortunate is that I've got my Muk and my Milotic in the same hand, so I can't set up the Muk and Dedenne change. I really do want to Dedenne change this next turn and give myself a potential to find, let's see, do I have another Shaymin left in the deck? Potentially, so let's quick ball and see if we do. I do not. We are out of those. So the deal is, if I want to dig, I can't set up Muk. And I think setting up Muk is probably better, but leaving them with a big hand gives them the possibility to be able to start using Trevenant and Dusknoir on me, which I don't want. So I think that we are going to thin, and I might just have to give up on the Muk dreams in order to try and find a different route forward. Though setting up the Alolan Muk does seem very good. They could swing into me with Trevenant and Dusknoir. I do have the Mallow and Lana in my hand, but my hand otherwise is not very strong. So I think that we're just going here. I can bench the Ditto Prism Star and just Dedenne change. Having to just send that is a little bit painful, and I don't believe I hit a way to really limit my opponent's hand anyway. I can Guzma and knock out the Feebas. That's a pretty big deal, because then I know that my opponents will not be able to do too much. That being said, they could Horror House me, which does kind of sway the tide of this matchup. They could Horror House me. So that is a little bit tough. But let's see what we could do. That, or I could swing into their Trevenant and Dusknoir. That, I could swing into their Shaymin with Guzma as well. Certainly all possibilities. That, or I end them to 5 and remove 2, leaving them with a 3-card hand. I think that probably makes the most sense. So let's just quick ball this away. Take a look at the deck again. I can get Trevenant and Dusknoir back out. We've got another Float Stone we can put on that Gengar and Mimikyu, and we're going to go here, we're going to go here, and we're going to go end my opponent to 5. And I'm not exactly sure why that Float Stone didn't make it way to the active. I thought it already had a Float Stone on it. But all is well. We can hard retreat that and just go in with the Night Watch anyway, because that is good. And then we can actually, force the second Milotic, which I do have for next turn, and can accelerate that energy elsewhere. So maybe that is the busted play after all. We'll Night Watch this thing, limit them to a 3-card hand. It's better than what they were at previously, but they are, working with a turbo deck. Now at this point, I will say that, Horror House GX is probably not as good for them. They want to hit into my guy with Night Watch. So we do have Mallow and Lana in the discard pile, which is going to help us to kind of negotiate that trade a little bit better. Another thing they can do is they could Pale Moon GX me. So if you have 3 energy on, you can Pale Moon GX, which does really sway this mirror match quite a bit, because in order to accelerate the energy, we have to give up a prize with Milotic, which I am prepared to do again. So I am glad that I set up that Ditto, and they don't have a way to get Muk into play this turn. So that is very good. But they do have a Shaymin and Ultra Ball, so they are going to be able to set up business as usual, which could be very good if they can get that Milotic into play. They've already got the energy in the discard pile, and they're going to be getting a big attack with Night Watch this turn. But at this point, my deck is so small. As you can see, 7 cards left in the deck. So I'm not very much concerned about my, getting end or, losing too many cards from my hand. My whole deck is basically good stuff at this point. We've got Versus Seekers, Trainers Mails, Marnie, all of that in the hand. So it all feels very strong. And, I'm pretty comfortable with the resources left in my deck. If they leave me to a low hand size, at least I'm going to be able to pretty much do the same right back at them. Now, they do have the Ultra Balls, so they are guaranteed the Melodic Energy Grace and attack. But if they give me 4 prizes left, I guess that's kind of the magic number. They just don't want me to knock out their Trevenant and Dusknoir. Now, I could go and maybe gust up a couple of Shaymins and win that way. Since if they, you know, blow this up, I have 4 prizes left. I go Guzma, game over. See how many Versus Seekers I have left. I should have 2 Versus Seekers left. Also, I do have Counter Catcher. If my opponent at some point knocks out my Trevenant and Dusknoir, I can do that in order to bring up something and potentially win the game. I would just have to Counter Catcher before I used my, or maybe I'd have to Energy Grace and then, you know, Counter Catcher and bring something up to kind of force the situation this next turn. So that's kind of what we're looking at. I could use Milotic, accelerate more energy onto my Trevenant and Dusknoir, and then Counter Catcher a Shaymin this turn, and then I'm on a 1-turn clock to win the game with Guzma Shaymin the following turn if we can pull that off. And I think that just getting the first attack, getting that Horror House GX is going to mean everything in this mirror match. And I'm actually glad that we hard treated that energy off the Gengar, because now I get to accelerate it with Milotic. It looks like they kind of have the same idea, looking for the Guzma play. They can actually go for the Ace Trainer as well. So they're going to limit me to a 1-card hand, bringing up my Trevenant and Dusknoir, and they're trying to shake and bake with their own Counter Catcher, which is going to be pretty tough. Not going to lie, that's kind of gnarly. However, I have a couple of things that can save me here. I've got Milotic can save me by allowing me to, you know, Energy Grace and then Night Watch with the active. I've got, obviously, Versus Seekers and out, Trainers Mails and out. They would have to hit both my Trainers Mail and my Versus Seeker off this Night Watch in order to remove all those possibilities from me, and I get to keep the Versus Seeker. So we are live for a Guzma on the Shaymin this next turn, which is very good, and I can also Field Blower. So let's see. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Field Blower in the Sky Field is actually very good for me and very bad for them. So I'm going to Guzma this turn, and I believe bring up Shaymin, and then Field Blower these, and then when I do that, I get that out of the way, I get that out the way, that out the way, make my board position much stronger, and we can Night Watch. Now I am going to lose these 2 cards that I take off of the prizes. However, that being said, I feel like at this point I am in a strong enough board position that all I need is Gust to win the game. I mean, that is very good for me. So we've got multiple Shaymins we can target down with either Counter Catcher. Should my opponent get to a position where they knock out my Trevenant and Dusknoir, or they knock out a Gengar and Mimikyu, or something like that, I will be live for a Counter Catcher play for win. And if I can find myself my final Versus Seeker, I'm also live for a win that way. Also, with multiple Shaymins here, Pale Moon GX, that is pretty tough. We've got Counter Catcher. I can obviously retreat. That's fine. And I don't really mind this, because I can just go into the Grimer and I can collect and draw 2 cards. I just need to find myself the Milotic to be able to accelerate this energy back into play. If they are able to, you know, Gust up my Ditto and knock it out, then I'm in a situation where I might just lose the game. So now things have certainly escalated. That Pale Moon GX was very good against my Trevenant and Dusknoir, but they have Ace Trainer. They do not have a way to Gust up my Ditto. So we're still live for potentially a game-winning play, and them knocking out my Alolan Grimer makes it so that I now have the option to Shaymin for a game, or Shaymin, you know, to try and find the game-winning cards. So we'll see if I can find a Shaymin off of this very tight situation here. We've got Milotic. I can force. Okay, that's good. I can force an attack. So we could go in. I do have Energy Grace, so I can accelerate 3. And I think that we have to go in with the Trevenant and Dusknoir and hit with that. I mean, there's no way that my opponent has 6 trainers in hand. I don't think it's correct to Poltergeist. So it's Energy Grace. And we're going to put those 3 energy onto the Trevenant and Dusknoir, knocking it out, giving up a prize. And I'm rocking a 0-card hand, but it's a pretty decent 0-card hand. So we'll, it's a pretty decent board state considering that we have a 0-card hand. So we're going to Night Watch again, throw a couple of things back into the deck. It's not really good stuff. And we do put, you know, a lot of pressure on them. And if I at any point top deck a Guzma or top deck that Versus Seeker, if I top deck a Shaymin, there's a lot of my deck that is live for a game-winning knockout on their side of the board. If I top deck Trainers Mail is, you know, potentially live for a win. Quick Ball doesn't get there, or Ultra Ball, those don't get there because I can't play them. But wow, I mean, what a crazy match. Just me and my opponent, you know, removing each other's hands back and forth, turn after turn. They've got Versus Seeker, but there's no points in playing anything that, you know, interacts with my hand size. So I think they probably will bring up Dedenne or something and try to stall it, or the Shaymin, and just pass, right? We've got Skyfield. That is a dead card for us, so I'm not going to play it. And then I think, what, they're going to evolve into Muck this next turn, Float Stone, come back out down into their Trevenant and Dusknoir, and that gives them the highest chance of being able to win the game. Is if they do that. I was a little bit scared to put my own Skyfield down because I was worried that they would be able to Field Blower and remove their own Shaymins from play, who are my win condition, but they actually cannot attack with this Trevenant and Dusknoir. So I'm curious as to what they're doing here, because they can't do that. They've only got 7 cards left in play as well. So they kind of have to go here, yeah, and give me a prize. Now they do have Skyfield, which is interesting. So this isn't Muck, this is just Milotic, and they need to accelerate onto a new Trevenant and Dusknoir and hope that I do not find a game-winning card off the top of my deck, which is at this point very strong. That being said, they are more than likely going to be limiting my hand down to 1 card or 0 cards with the Night Watch taking this knockout. So we'll see what my top deck looks like. I can't get any of these cards. Now I'm feeling kind of silly for not playing the Skyfield, but we'll see if we're punished here. We've got Trevenant and Dusknoir making its way into the active 1-to-1 prize game. What a match. And we've got Shaymin, insane draw there off the top. There's 2 of them in there. I was feeling it. We've got Marnie and another Ultra Ball. I think we just go here. I can't Counter Catcher. That card is dead. But I believe there's another Shaymin in the deck, so we could dig a little bit further, and Computer Search, so we should have it just about guaranteed. I do not think we can whiff Trainers Mail, Computer Search, all of that. Actually, did I have the Versus Seeker in my hand the whole time? That's a BM. I had it the whole time. That's cool. Anyways, here's the Guzma, and we could just bring up that Trevenant and Dusknoir over there. Well played, GG's, and we've got the Night Watch for a game. Yes, you have a good deck too. Well played. And broken deck, Night Watch for 150 damage, and that's it. So what a nuts deck. This thing is crazy to play. I'm just now starting to really get into this deck in expanded format. These are, you know, the first couple times that I've ever played the deck, but it is really, really impressive, and it is definitely a force to be reckoned with in expanded format. If you haven't tried it out in expanded, make sure to do so. Completely remove your opponent's hand with Night Watch and Milotic Energy Grays. Very cool, working on GX Pokemon. Big shout out to Pablo Mezas, aka Tablemon, for piloting the deck to a top 8 finish at the Dallas Regional Championships, and I think that this is definitely a deck to look out for at Collinsville. So thank you all so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, ring that bell, and of course check out fullgripcodes.com. We've got instant PTCGO code delivery available on fullgripcodes.com. Supporting Full Grip Games directly supports the content that I produce here on Tricky Gym. And as always, make sure to check out the stream, twitch.tv/TrickyGym. You all have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.